So this is more so going to be one of those raw, unedited style videos because I just wanted to talk to you guys candidly about what's going on with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. So if you've been living under a rock for the past month, COVID-19, right? We really can't deny that this exists. Well, some people can, but whether or not whether you feel a certain way about this whole pandemic or not, it's affecting people's lives in a multitude of different ways. And one of the biggest ways that it's affecting people is through Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, for people who play the game, it's been monumental, right? I mean, we went from almost approaching like the zenith of Yu-Gi-Oh! When it comes to like one of like the most climactic points in this game's history, and almost just out of nowhere, it just seems to have completely collapsed. And it just sucks, you know? Like, it just sucks. Like, we just had YCS Brazil this past weekend be canceled only, like, 10 hours before the event was supposed to start. They were all there. People pre-registered for the event. And, like, just like that, it evaporated into thin air. And to be fair, and all credit to Konami, I think that was definitely the correct move, just considering that we're banning gatherings of, 10, 25, 50 people on the state level, at least here in North America. And that would have been, several thousand people in a single place? Like, that is just asking for complete and utter chaos to break out. So we had YCS Brazil get canceled. YCS Charlotte was supposed to be not this weekend, but the next upcoming weekend. At the time of recording this video, March 28th, I believe. And then YCS Hartford was supposed to be April 18th. That was supposed to be the first event of the brand new format, Master Rule 5, right? Like, that was going to be one of the most hyped and looked forward to events of maybe the year, if not beyond that. And just like that, those got canceled as well. And I'm not saying that wasn't the correct move, but it's just, it's a buzzkill, you know? We were at this point where, look where we were going, right? I mean, we were going into Duel Overload, which is arguably one of like the best sealed products that Konami has ever brought to us, with tons of good reprints. We had the Link monsters from the Link Vrains packs 1, 2, and 3 from the OCG. Like, that was going to be really cool. And it was just going to be this culmination of epicness, because not only did we have Duel Overload coming out, but then we had Master Rule 5 coming into effect on April 1st. So we get all the new cards. You're able to play essentially like you did in Master Rule 3, where you didn't have to worry about Link monsters if you're playing Fusion Monsters, Synchros, or Xyz. So that was hyping up so many older players who weren't fond of Master Rule 4, and it was, I'd never seen such a genuine hype and love for the game, knowing we were going in the direction of Master Rule 5, and we were going to get a new ban list on top of that. So, like, talk about the ultimate convergence of hype. And it's just all gone. And it's so unfortunate. You know? I mean, for all of us who love Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, it's just a bummer. And we get the message from Konami that not only are the big tournaments suspended until further notice, but even at the local level, the locals are no longer going to be able to host sanctioned events, I think, until like May 10th? I think the article said. And like, you know, people who love Yu-Gi-Oh! I know people personally, and I'm sure you guys do too, who go and play Yu-Gi-Oh! At their local game store like every week, sometimes multiple times a week. And like, for some people, that's like their escape, you know? Like, for them, like, maybe they just weren't dealt the best cards in life, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a way for them to be able to play the cards in such a way that they can take control of something in their lives. Like, that is an escape for a lot of people, and it's sometimes like the shining beacon of hope for a lot of people in, you know, just in any aspect. And so it's just unfortunate. And I don't really want to sugarcoat it, because we're at a time right now where this is really serious, not just for Yu-Gi-Oh!, but for the card game industry in general. I mean, think about it. Yu-Gi-Oh!'s not the only game suffering from all these, you know, repercussions of COVID-19. I mean, Magic is facing the similar situation. Pokemon, basically all the card games that have a physical component to them are in jeopardy when it comes to this. And it's a bit frightening in a way, because, you know, we've never exactly been at a point like this, I think, in Yu-Gi-Oh!'s history, at least not that I can recall. I mean, I'm sure you guys could let me know down in the comments, but like, I'm even thinking back to like the recession of like 2008. Yeah, sure, that brought financial hardship upon myriads of different people, but card shops weren't closing. Well, some card shops were closing down, but card shops were not forced to close down, I'll say, from the perspective of like a health quarantine perspective, right? People could still go to events and compete, but maybe the turnout of those events was lower just because people didn't have as much disposable income to be able to travel. People had to either sell off their collection to maybe pay bills. There's a multitude of different aspects to it, but the context of like the recession didn't necessarily preclude people in a way as a full wide-scale pandemic is really affecting the game. And this is why I've always been such a proponent of like an online component for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because not only does it help in situations like this, but it really is just a way to connect people through a game that people truly enjoy. And when you look at it, like for instance, take like Magic the Gathering. Magic has not only MTG Arena, which is highly successful, but they also have Magic Online, which is like our equivalent, if you want to call it that, of like an online simulator, but it's actually like done by Wizards. So it's, officially sanctioned to some degree. I believe you can actually play Magic Online and get to the World Championship. Someone will correct me on that, I'm sure. But I'm pretty sure they host specific tournaments solely for Magic Online. Pokemon has their own online simulator. Digital card games like Hearthstone, they don't really care too much about the current climate because, yes, while it may affect in-person events, the game is still natively on a digital platform, so they have much easier workarounds compared to games such as Yu-Gi-Oh! That have a physical component to them. Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't have that. What do we have? I mean, we have Duel Links, which is Yu-Gi-Oh!, but it's not like the Yu-Gi-Oh! That we've known and loved since 2002, so that's not the same thing. We have Legacy of the Duelist, I suppose, which is fine, but like that doesn't even like stay up to date with the way the current like card set releases are or anything like that. That game gets like a few updates interspersed every once in a while, but nothing even can come close to something that we could completely just migrate to for a situation like this. And then we have the unsanctioned digital, bootleg platforms that we have, like Dueling Book and YGO Pro and Dev Pro and Nexus and all these different things that people have essentially just created by hand because they want a way to experience Yu-Gi-Oh! On a digital platform in the truest, most authentic state you can give it. And so that's pretty much what we have to work with now. At the very least, we have at least 2 months, at least at the time of recording this video, where we're going to be kind of stuck playing on those platforms. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Is inherently like this interpersonal experience, and the lifeblood of Yu-Gi-Oh! It rests at the tabletop, Like, there's no other way to put it. When there's no better experience than just sitting across from an opponent and playing a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that's how the game was born. That's how a lot of trading cards games were born. And it's scary, It's scary to see the direction that this game is going. And I know that I personally want to do whatever I can to help the game in this time of need to be able to help get through this, right? Because there will be an end to all of this. At some point, we're going to get to the point where either, everyone's vaccinated or the virus just runs its course, and that's really all there is to it. And then life will slowly start to return to normal. But until that time, life for the foreseeable future is going to change, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is definitely one of the things that's going to change the most. So I just want to be able to do whatever I can to be able to, keep our spirits uplifted. I want to be able to keep bringing you guys the content that I'm bringing you as best I can. I'm looking into right now the possibility of just running my own tournament, because just because we can't go to YCSs or regionals doesn't mean we still can't have tournaments, right? I remember just like a few days ago, I teased the idea of the Crush Card Cup. And that is something I'm actually actively working on. I'm talking with a lot of people, and I really just want this to kind of be this big event that can kind of take the place of where we were and kind of just rebuild the hype as to where we were just a few weeks ago before all of this started taking place. You know, I want people to be excited about playing the new cards. I want people to be excited about being able to return to Yu-Gi-Oh! After a hiatus and be able to play, you know, some of their favorite decks in the old Master Rule 3 style, if you want to call it that, of not being limited by link arrows depending on the type of deck that you're playing. You know, if we get a new ban, who knows if we're getting a new ban list? If we don't have any events coming up, then like, there's no real reason for Konami to give us a ban list, and that's perfectly fine and understandable, but like, that's another thing. You know, the ban list is like one of the most hyped times of the year, and it's just gonna feel different, you know? And so I just want to let you guys know that the content's gonna keep getting pumped out in some form or another. I just want to let you guys know that I want to help all of us in this time of need to really get us through it. And, you know, hopefully when we come out on the other side of it all, that we're going to look back and say, you know what, this wasn't too bad. So guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Thank you for spending the time with me. I know this was a little bit different than my typical content, but I kind of just wanted to talk about the state of things in a more raw sort of way. So I really appreciate you. We just hit 200,000 subscribers, and that is an incredible milestone, and I cannot thank you guys enough for all of your continued support. And stay healthy. I wish you and your family and friends all the best of health, and I really hope that everything's going to go back to normal real soon. Take care.